All
Live.
right.
Yay!
Woohoo.
Wow.
Hello.
On the road with Kid Holmes. Kid Holmes music. Oh my God. What? This Transformation Tuesday as we bring about a real transformation that's happening in real time with Kid Holmes.
I am changing right before your very eyes. I am changing.
All right. Well, this is Transformation Tuesday. We've been coming to you every Tuesday since March of 2020. And boy, it's what it's
Golly,
all about, isn't it?
5 years. Wow. Wow.
Have
Wow.
we transform or what? So for June 2025, we are talking about willingness to transform. Oh my God, OMG. Like, yeah, I want to transform. Well, how willing are you to do this? You're going to have to let go of some stuff
hmm hmm
up here, up here, and there. And then what are you going to put in the U-Haul to take with you? Oh, one of my best buddies and guests, singer-songwriter, Reverend Kid Holmes, on the
in the house,
in the
not
house.
in the house, in the truck, in the truck.
So I wanted it, before we were starting, I was listening to one of your songs called "The Long Road."
One long road. Yep.
Oh yeah, "One Long Road," and there was this phrase that popped out that you are a genius with your words. And it said, you sang, never a traffic jam on the high road, and the signs to the on ramp are always clear.
hmm
Genius.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I was like, I don't think I've ever heard those words before.
Okay.
I mean, I've heard them, but sometimes you hear words, just like transformational willingness. We always start out our things with Dreamboat or like, yeah, tune in, which means focus, turn up the volume, participate. But that third, transformational willingness.
hmm
And I usually skip over that part.
I think most people do.
It's like,
Because it's not easy. It's not easy. Always. Not
tell me
always
a little
easy.
bit. Let's catch everybody up on where you are, the willingness that you have in the last year. And I was writing down these, like, you've had a willingness to transform your health,
hmm
that transformation willingness in your vocation,
hmm
the transformational willingness in your relationships.
Yep.
Tell us, come and talk to us.
Let's see. Well, the transformational willingness on the health, there's two folds when we talk about willingness, and my experience of it is that when we dip our toe in the water of willingness, like I want to change this, whatever part of my life is not working, I want to change. And we immediately get the paradigm that says, no, 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 stay comfortable. There's something greater that's pulling us towards our evolution in consciousness, right? And when we start to pay attention to it, we start to open that door, and when we do it enough, you begin to realize you can't go back. You cannot go back, and you won't be happy if you go back. You know, that old phrase, you can go home again, is true because you're never the same person, right? But the willingness sometimes will come, I say forced surrender. It's some people call it the cosmic 2x4. I call it forced surrender, where you have no choice but to give it over to a higher power. Say, okay, uncle, I can't, I don't know how to do this anymore. But there has to be an element of willingness to it. Because otherwise you're just going to be bumping up against everything that's coming at you, saying, oh, no, 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 I know how to do it my way. And we don't. That's the lesson. That's the hard part. That's why most people don't want to do it, because it's like, oh, I'm going to have to do this thing, or I'm going to have to change my job, or I'm going to have to leave a relationship, or I'm going to have to I'm going to have to stop smoking. I'm going to have to quit drinking. any of those things that come along with what we think of as our comfort zone. Okay. So the pain gets great enough that you finally go, this really isn't working. It's really not working. So there's got to be another way. So that is the little key piece that opens the door, right? So when I say forced surrender on the health front was a cancer diagnosis in 2022. And I've been out of treatment now for 2 years. I think coming up in July is when I actually had my fusion port that was implanted in my chest that came out. That'll be 2 years ago. And given everything going on, I'm in remission for breast cancer. So the forced willingness was to look at, and I was already beginning to do some of this, that one of the key factors, especially in women, is long-term stress with breast cancer. There are a lot of other factors that and it's lifestyle stuff, it's consciousness stuff, it's mindfulness stuff. If we're keeping all of our stuff inside, which we are taught to do, most of us women, it becomes very toxic to the body. And so that forced willingness in that was one of the first I recognized with the diagnosis, based on where it was in my body, in my breast. It was on left side, right, right there by my heart chakra, that had been like, I got to protect it, can't feel things, can't say what I'm feeling. And it took its toll on my body. So, it's not just one thing that affects one thing, it's this combination of all of it goes together. So the willingness part around relationship was the relationship that I was in for a long time, growing in different directions, and my learning in that was my inability to let myself feel, to say what I really needed, to stand up for myself, to and to do it consistently. I didn't know how. Nobody ever taught me. And it ended up with my asking for a divorce. Very painful. It was very hurtful to the other person. And these 4 years later is recognizing the places where I needed to, and did to the best of my ability at the time, make my amends. But knowing there was a willingness in me prior to that, which was something's not working. I don't know how to do this. I didn't have a great history of healthy relationships. I always wanted one. I always wanted one where there was a lot of things common, where we communicated well, all of the, not just the storybook romance stuff, but the day-to-day being able to work through things and do it in a respectful way, do it in a healthy way, not discounting either party. But again, I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have the role models, and nobody taught me. So I was floundering, but that willingness in me was, I want to change this. I need to change this. And as I said, the willingness part, it's like, great, you want to do that. And I had to look at my paradigms. I had to go through all of that pent up, unexpressed grief, unexpressed anger, unexpressed emotion, and allow myself to feel day in and day out. And I'm really learning how to do that. This ties into this next part of the transformation, is that just this morning I closed on selling my house and getting ready for the estate sale for that. I knew a few years ago, in meditation, actually I was getting massage work and Reiki and all that kind of stuff all at the same time. And it was a clear voice that dropped in, and it said, you will leave house and you will leave this town. And 3 years ago, I wept. I was like, but this is my home, and I just got here, and I'm just getting my feet on the ground. But I knew the truth of voice, and I'd heard it many times before in my life. And I knew that if I ignored it, things would not get better, and things would not, I wouldn't open up. to being the full expression of the person that I am meant to be. And so I never got a timeline on when that was. I'm laying on the massage table all blissed out, but I'm, weeping, going, wait. And then I said, well, when? I'm asking the universe, when am I supposed to sell my house and when am I supposed to leave this town? And it, silence, crickets. Because that wasn't mine to know. And that's the thing about our transformation is we don't get a timeline. We don't get a timeline. We get the next step and the next step and the next step and the next step and the next step. And then all of a sudden we go, oh, look, when did I transform? When did that happen?
Oh,
So,
right.
yeah.
That's a really important. We don't get a timeline. It's just the next step and the next step.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah. So I hope that gives you a little whatever I
want
just
to know.
rambled on about.
Yeah. So that's okay. So how do you know that the next step is the right step? And where is it there, like when you have that hesitancy that you're going, wait a minute, like when do you know that you know you know? Like let's go back and not go back, but yeah, when did you know that you knew that you were to leave Michigan this time? This is current stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
And then what step was given to you for the next right thing?
There was something that I was looking at a year ago, where I was in my paradigms about with lack of income, not I don't want to say feeling stifled, but I think we're not seem to be going anywhere for me professionally. And I was trying different things and I was doing things, but there was that little thing in my gut that says, you're coming up on being done here. It was little bits. And I, at the end of last summer, I was in the forcing mode. I was not willing. I was not in a willing, open, accepting place. I was forcing the thing, and it was, I have to get a job. I mean, I'm self-employed and all that, but this was one of these. I have to get a job. I was applying for something in my field, as a minister, at a place that from the time that I had moved up to Michigan full time 4 years ago, had wanted to be their senior minister. And I kept saying, no, I'm clear. It's not mine to do. It's not mine to do. It's not mine to do. Well, I went round and round and round and trying to force the issue. And I said, okay, well, it is mine to do. So God, I'm going to go apply for this job. The universe would have it otherwise. And the simple process of trying to get to the right person to make application for this kept getting like delayed and thwarted and pushed off this way. And, it's like, I was like, what? I mean, I knew, in my gut, I knew it was not my due, and I was trying to force it to get done. But it was the simple step of applying and putting myself in that process that shifted my clarity. And the answer was, if you needed to know for the umpteenth time that this isn't yours to do, here is the universe, here is spirit saying, this is not yours to do. Move on. Move on. And in the midst of that decision to do the job, I'm in another relationship that was developing, very healthy. All the things that I had, the communication and things of interest, and just a mindfulness and a consciousness and a level of awareness. But my saying that I needed to get that job, we took us apart about what the priorities are here and where do we want to live and where do I want to live. And so there was all these other things to think about. So in that simple step affected many things that helped me grow in a direction to say, what's clear, what you want to do, where do you want to go. So I kept on about my business, and I was like, but I'm just kind of dying on the vine here where I am. And I was doing things, and people were inviting me to do shows and to participate in things, but there's that discontent, a real discontent by what was happening. Because it really just was like, wow, and then it was physical factors like the climate, like Michigan winters, which are very, very gray. And this one in particular was extremely harsh and very gray and a lot of snow and really cold. And we had a really late, this year had a really late spring. But in that time of growth and healing, the relationship developed and was healing more and growing more and so forth. And I went out to Santa Fe, where my partner lives, and was out there for the month of February, and it was like a breath of fresh, different environment, and things just began to, like, all the yes, 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 yes started dropping in. And so it was a consideration, and there's a lot of logistics, and there's all these kinds of things. And when I got back to Michigan, the first part of March, this is pretty clear
Yeah.
that I'm done here.
So,
And so go ahead.
so that brings my next question about, okay, yes, 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 and then there's this completion part, and
Mhm.
completion in integrity, completion in, um, you're still asking the questions, what mine to do next, because you're on the the timeline of the next step. So
Mhm.
so could you speak to us a little bit? I think this is all in willingness, willingness to have completion in integrity. And there's also this whole thing about wherever you are, and there's
Mhm.
also a thing that we say is like, oh, it's a geographical cure. Like, no.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and all of those, and also for me, getting too stuck up in my head
Mhm.
and not
Mhm.
traveling the long road with my heart space.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it just brings me to well, okay. It brings me to this holy haiku I read yesterday about, let me pull it up here. It's from Dr. Ann Manginelli. I love it. Uh, and this goes, because you are sitting at a truck stop with the U-Haul right behind you.
And this great big Freightliner just
Yeah,
flipping.
I know. And this,
Oh
this,
my goodness.
this one came up yesterday. Bumps in the road are opportunities to redirect from my heart. Isn't
Mm.
that beautiful?
Mhm.
Bumps in the road are opportunities to redirect from the heart. So you've had some bumps in this
I've
last
had some bumps.
completion, right? This last
Yep.
completion of selling your house, getting on the road, and doing all that. For some of us, oh, it seems like, oh, Kit can do it. Yeah, she's a minister. Yeah, she's a songwriter. She's got it. But tell me about what you do. What is a tool you use when you are hitting a bump in the road, and how do you be up here, bump in the road? I'm saying in my head,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
redirecting it to keep moving forward from your heart.
One of the most important things that I have learned about that is, number one, that the being up in my head was a coping mechanism.
Ah,
And from childhood stuff, um, and I'll just say, I'll make a general statement about early childhood trauma, whether it is emotional, physical, religious trauma, whatever it might be, combination, all of the above. Um, we're very smart as kids. I mean, we're very smart anyway, and we develop the coping mechanisms to keep the peace, as it were, as best we can. So we develop the strategies, and all we learn is that our emotions, or our full spectrum of emotions, are not acceptable. So, for instance, one of the messages that boys used to get is they don't cry. Boys don't cry. It makes them weak if they are emotional. Women are not supposed to be angry. So we stuff all of those things, and we start the mechanisms in our brains to, how do I do this? Oh, well, if I do this, then mom's going to love me more. If I do this, dad's not going to yell as much. If I do this, my this, and I will still be, in my own mind, will still be loved, right? So it's starting at that level, and that's where it's messy and it's painful, and it's much easier to go into our strategies, right? But part of that is perfectionism. And if I just do it right, if I'm just enough, if I'm this, or if I'm just this or just that, somebody will love me. And the thing that I've learned through all of this is, number one, learning to find a safe place, and there are many fellowships and other groups. Internal family systems have been very important to that work, where essentially you reparent, so you make it safe for those inner child and that inner teenager to express, and to let them know it's okay to feel sad, it's okay to feel angry, it's okay to have all of the whole spectrum of human emotion. I mean, we're built for that. We have them. Everybody's got them. Moving out of the consciousness, though, because we've worn that groove in our brain, right? So the neural pathways are, if somebody does this, oh, I better do that in order to reassure myself that I'm loved and I'm wanted and I'm worthy. Okay. So we're kind of fighting sometimes an uphill battle with our physiological. The good news about that is, when we are aware that that's what's happening, we don't beat ourselves up as much, because we could say there is a physiological thing happening in my brain that it fires this, and here goes the chemical, and here goes the blah, 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 blah. And then I have this immediate reaction. Whereas we start to manage and say, oh, okay, I can't make anybody else happy. I cannot make anybody else sad. I cannot make anybody else feel anything without their agreement or their position or their permission. So as soon as we start to realize we don't really have as much control over anything or anyone as we think we do, we can start to back off and go, okay, well, then who am I? And that can be very scary. And that willingness to go into exploration of that can be very frightening, because our biggest fear is that we go in there and we find out, oh, all the things that everybody was saying about me was true when I was a kid,
Yeah.
when it's not.
Yeah.
And so our willingness to turn over to higher power, or to, knowing there's something that says, no, we come in worthy, lovable, all of those things, intelligent, creative. We just have to find that voice within ourselves again.
Wow, that's so beautiful, Kit. Yeah. Well, I know well, what I would love, here's what I would love. I would love if you could, and it looks like your video got turned off.
Oops.
Now, that's probably because you're
There
on.
I am.
There you go. That's okay. What I would love is if you could take us into a meditation. If I know you're good at this, a little meditation, and then I have one last question to ask you. And once again, Kit Holmes, she's on the road again, on the road to Santa Fe, and would love to lead us in a meditation, and we're going to also put a blessing on you for your travels and your next vision. So,
Thank you.
yeah, so is that good?
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
just do a quick There's a quick, deep breath wherever you are and whatever you're doing, except driving. Please close your eyes or just have a gentle gaze and focus on the breath, because that's what we know and I know is that breath of life that we take for granted until we become conscious of it. And we can direct it. We can direct it into any tension in our body. And so I invite you to do that right now. Just take a deep breath and kind of do a scan and just pinpoint where that tension might be sitting. And as you breathe in deeply and breathe out, longer breath out than breath in, you just send love. Send love to that area of tension, or there may be more than one. It's okay. Just allow yourself to breathe in, breathe out. And as you feel yourself relax just a little bit more, bring your attention to your heart space. And within that heart space, that divine spark, that's where it lives. It lives in love. It is love. It is love itself. It is the love that each one of us came into this life with, the love that will continue to carry our souls after we release this iteration of our souls. The foundation is love. We are love. We are made of it. We are it. And it, being the greatest power in the world, loves expressing itself through us and as us. And so whether you call it an inner child or your higher self, whatever name you give that, it is unchanged by everything or anything outside of it, because in its essence, it is pure love. And so our job as a conscious being is to stay in touch with that and allow the human part of ourselves to have each and every emotion that we experience without judgment. We don't have to stay in it. We can give ourselves permission to just have it for a few minutes, and then just acknowledging it will dissipate the intensity. And if it feels a little shaky, a little scary, we just breathe in and we say, I trust that I am made of love. I trust that I am loved. I trust that I am love. And right now, in this moment, right here and right now, is all I have. And I choose to be in my heart. I choose to be in love, expressing love, being love. And all of this only takes a few moments to calm our nervous system, to remind ourselves. And so moving forward throughout your day, there at any moment where there is stress, there is a simple phrase of, I am love, I am loving, and I am loved. And all is well. And I am willing to be love. I am willing to let myself know that I am loved. And I am willing to be loving toward myself and towards others. And so with all of that, let's simply breathe it in, let it out with a sigh. And knowing all is well and trusting, choosing, being willing to know that all is always well and always in right timing, we can let it go and watch what unfolds. So it is.
And so it is, and so we let it be. Thanks, Kit.
Thank you, Judy.
One last question. I love this one because, you know, you are on this journey right now across country And imagine that you're driving along the highway and there's a big billboard up there. And Kit Holmes is on the billboard, and thousands of cars pass it and look up at the billboard all the time. What is it that's on that billboard that you would love to send out your message? Just a
What a
blurb.
great
Isn't that a
question.
great question for today?
Um, I would love that that my music is getting licensed for films and um, uh, television, other artists that want to perform it. And I would love that billboard to say, "You need this music. You need this." And have the like an 800 number or something, I don't know, or a website, my website. You need this music and it will change your life.
Oh, yes. Okay. Isn't that great? All right. Well, and so it is. We sing Boom, Kid on the Highway, traveling with a playlist of Kit Holmes music.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a transformational willingness. Thank you so much, Kit. And man, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much. Safe travel.
Thank you, Judy, as always. As always, thank you. All right. Love you.
Check in.
See y'all later.
Yeah. Well, here you go. Hang in here.